In October 2025, President Donald Trump embarked on a pivotal 5-day diplomatic tour of Asia, marking his most ambitious overseas trip since returning to the White House. The journey was meticulously planned, with stops in key regional capitals, each chosen for its strategic importance to U.S. interests. Trump's arrival was met with both anticipation and scrutiny, as world leaders and analysts speculated about the outcomes of his high-profile meetings. The tour's primary goal was to reinforce American influence in the Indo-Pacific and forge stronger partnerships with allies and emerging powers alike. Trump's team sought to reassure partners of America's commitment, while also signaling a willingness to negotiate on tough issues. The world watched closely as Trump addressed a range of pressing topics: regional security, military cooperation, trade imbalances, and the future of technology alliances. Each summit and press conference was broadcast live, with global media dissecting every word and gesture for signs of shifting alliances or new policy directions. The White House framed the trip as a mission to reassert American leadership and broker historic deals amid rising geopolitical tensions. Officials emphasized the importance of face-to-face diplomacy in an era of uncertainty, highlighting Trump's personal style as a key asset. Renewed North Korean missile tests and China's growing assertiveness in the South China Sea set a tense backdrop for the visit. The region was on edge, with military maneuvers and diplomatic standoffs making headlines in the days leading up to Trump's arrival. Trump's agenda was packed with high-stakes discussions, from closed-door negotiations on security guarantees to public forums on economic cooperation. Every meeting was an opportunity to secure American interests and promote regional stability, as well as to address long-standing disputes. Each stop built on the last, creating a narrative of proactive U.S. engagement in the Indo-Pacific. Trump's presence in multiple capitals sent a clear message: the United States intended to remain a central player in shaping the region's future. The tour was a major test of Trump's deal-making skills on the world stage, blending tough talk with personal diplomacy. Behind closed doors, negotiations were intense, with both sides pushing for favorable terms on trade, security, and technology. As Air Force One touched down in each country, the stakes were unmistakably high. Alliances, economic relationships, and the balance of power across Asia were all on the line, making this tour one of the defining moments of Trump's second term. The tour began in Malaysia, where President Trump was welcomed with vibrant cultural festivities, setting a positive tone. Trump's participation in the traditional dance was seen as a gesture of goodwill. Malaysia was chosen not just for bilateral talks, but as a neutral venue for a major diplomatic breakthrough. The highlight: a landmark peace agreement, with Malaysia's status in ASEAN making it the ideal host. Optimism filled the air as leaders gathered for what many thought impossible. The U.S. signaled that every nation in the Indo-Pacific matters, not just the largest powers. The cultural welcome symbolized the deep relationships America sought to build. This opening stop generated momentum, blending stagecraft with substance to kick off the tour on a high note. The centerpiece in Malaysia was the signing of a historic peace agreement between Cambodia and Thailand. This moment was the culmination of months of intense negotiations, secret meetings, and shuttle diplomacy, all aimed at ending a conflict that had simmered for decades. The world watched as the two nations, once bitter rivals, came together in a spirit of reconciliation and hope. President Trump personally oversaw the ceremony, highlighting America's pivotal role as a broker of peace in Southeast Asia. His presence sent a powerful message about the United States' commitment to fostering stability and cooperation in the region. Trump's hands-on approach was credited with breaking the deadlock and encouraging both sides to make difficult compromises. For years, border tensions between Cambodia and Thailand had threatened to erupt into open conflict, casting a shadow over the entire region. Skirmishes, military buildups, and political mistrust had become the norm. This accord marked a dramatic turning point, signaling a new era of dialogue and mutual respect. As a gesture of goodwill, Thailand agreed to release 18 Cambodian soldiers who had been detained during previous clashes. The emotional reunion of these soldiers with their families was broadcast across both countries, symbolizing the human cost of conflict and the promise of peace. In addition, both sides began the process of removing heavy weaponry and military equipment from the border. This demilitarization effort was a critical step in building trust and reducing the risk of future confrontations, paving the way for a safer and more secure border region. The Cambodian and Thai leaders publicly praised the United States for its role in bridging the divide. At a joint press conference, they expressed deep gratitude to the American delegation, calling the agreement a new chapter for peace and prosperity in Southeast Asia. The deal established a demilitarized buffer zone along the border, monitored by international observers. This new zone offered hope for lasting stability, allowing communities on both sides to rebuild and reconnect after years of uncertainty. Throughout the process, Trump's focus on tangible results and his reputation as a deal-maker were on full display. His direct engagement with both Cambodian and Thai leaders helped overcome obstacles that had stalled previous peace efforts. The accord was celebrated as both a diplomatic and public relations triumph for the Trump administration. News of the breakthrough dominated headlines, and officials hailed it as a model for resolving other regional disputes. With this historic breakthrough, Trump carried newfound momentum into his next stops in Japan and South Korea, eager to build on the success and further strengthen America's role as a global peacemaker. After Malaysia, Trump turned to America's key allies, Japan and South Korea. These two nations are not just allies in name, but are pivotal to the strategic interests of the United States in the Indo-Pacific region. Their geographical locations, economic prowess, and military capabilities make them indispensable partners. These nations are the backbone of U.S. security in the Indo-Pacific. The region is a hotspot for geopolitical tensions, and having strong allies like Japan and South Korea helps the U.S. maintain a balance of power. Meetings in Tokyo and Seoul aim to reaffirm alliances and coordinate on pressing issues. These discussions covered a wide range of topics, from defense strategies to economic policies, ensuring that all parties are on the same page. Japan, a major economic and military partner, hosts significant U.S. forces and is vital for regional stability. The presence of American troops in Japan acts as a deterrent against potential threats and underscores the strong military cooperation between the two nations. Trump's meeting with Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanai Takaichi, focused on military cooperation, trade, and countering regional threats. They discussed ways to enhance joint military exercises and improve trade relations to benefit both nations. South Korea, with tens of thousands of U.S. troops, remains a linchpin against North Korean aggression. The U.S. military presence in South Korea is crucial for maintaining peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. The alliance with South Korea is also crucial for economic and technological collaboration. Both nations benefit from shared research and development initiatives, which drive innovation and economic growth. These visits were about more than ceremony. They were about managing alliances in a changing world. The dynamic nature of global politics requires constant communication and adaptation to new challenges. The agenda included enhancing military interoperability, deepening economic ties, and collaborating on future technologies. These efforts are aimed at ensuring that the alliances remain strong and effective in addressing both current and future challenges. Trump's direct engagement aimed to align strategies and reaffirm America's commitment to its closest Asian allies. By working closely with Japan and South Korea, the U.S. aims to promote stability, security, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. Security and military cooperation dominated Trump's talks in Tokyo and Seoul. North Korea's missile tests underscored the urgency for coordinated defense strategies. In Japan, discussions centered on modernizing joint military capabilities and increasing Japan's regional security role. In South Korea, Trump reaffirmed America's extended deterrence, including its nuclear umbrella. Regular joint exercises and operational command structures were reviewed to ensure combat readiness. The leaders also addressed China's assertiveness and the need for trilateral cooperation on maritime and cybersecurity. Strengthening these alliances aim to uphold peace and maintain a favorable balance of power in the region. Economic issues were a central pillar of Trump's Asia tour. Talks in Japan and South Korea focused on reducing trade imbalances and opening markets for U.S. goods. In Tokyo, Trump pressed for better access for American agriculture and automobiles, seeking to revise trade terms. In Seoul, the focus was on enforcing and improving the U.S.-Korea Free Trade Agreement. the administration's goal was to rebalance trade relationships and put American interests first. Tough negotiations aimed to bring jobs and prosperity back to the U.S., even with close allies. The America First approach defined the economic agenda throughout the tour. Beyond trade and security, Trump's tour emphasized future-focused partnerships in technology and energy. Deepening cooperation with Japan and South Korea in semiconductors was a top priority, aiming to secure supply chains and counter China's dominance. Talks encouraged investment in U.S. manufacturing and joint R&D initiatives. Critical minerals and energy security were also on the agenda, with plans to build alternative supply chains and invest in next-generation energy technologies. The three nations sought to align strategies on liquefied natural gas, advanced nuclear, and green hydrogen. These efforts aim to boost resilience and accelerate the transition to cleaner, more secure energy sources. The partnerships positioned the U.S. and its allies for long-term strategic advantage. A crucial element of the tour was Trump's dialogue with China, culminating in a meeting with President Xi Jinping in South Korea. Behind the scenes, negotiators worked to prevent a sweeping 100% U.S. tariff on Chinese goods, a move that threatened a damaging trade war. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced a substantial framework to avoid escalation, signaling both sides' willingness to step back. The framework addressed core U.S. concerns while giving China an off-ramp, stabilizing the global economy. Averting a trade war was vital for growth and supply chain stability worldwide. The Trump-Xi meeting was a pivotal moment, with both leaders committing to dialogue over confrontation. The episode highlighted the complex mix of rivalry and cooperation in U.S.-China relations. Trump's 2025 Asia tour was a powerful display of American foreign policy in action. The journey projected strength, facilitated peace, and secured U.S. economic interests. The Cambodia-Thailand peace accord and strategic dialogues with Japan and South Korea underscored proactive U.S. engagement. The administration blended grand gestures with tough negotiations, focusing on deal-making and alliance-building. Progress with China showed a pragmatic willingness to negotiate and avoid global disruption. The tour demonstrated America's commitment to a free, open, and secure Indo-Pacific. By ending conflicts and strengthening alliances, the administration aimed for a more peaceful and prosperous region. The message was clear: America is back as a strong, reliable partner, advancing its interests and values, one deal at a time.